Hey everybody, I'm Joshua.
And I'm Caleb.
Hey, this week we're talking about giants. We're here at Hebron, Kiriath Arba. Arba was the father of many giants. A giant race is. There's three of them, Shishai, Ahiman, and Telmai. And these giants ruled this territory with an iron fist. The Israelites were quite scared of him, but not Joshua and Caleb.
Not at all. So if you want to really find out the amazing stories that took place here, you're going to want to check this week's episode out, like right now.
These days are always my favorite days. I call them Super Friend Days. Why Super Friend Days? Because we get to hang out with super friends. We are on our way to see Chaim Malespin and Israel Hanna, and they are super friends of ours.
And I have been waiting for this episode from the start. I mean, this episode is all about Caleb ben Yefunah. Caleb, my man. And you even get to meet Aksa and Othniel. We're going to the territory that was promised to Caleb. Hebron. Hebron, it's my mountain. I've been waiting to go here my entire life.
Well, unlike some of the sports stars you've seen who are first going to go to Disneyland, Caleb's been waiting to go here.
It's my mountain.
To Hebron. That's right. Guess where it's at, huh? Right in the middle of the West Bank. Don't worry. She's just a tad contested. You know, like contested enough where every single human was like,
No, you can't go. No.
but guess what? If I don't let this 42-year-old man-child go there, I'm never going to hear the end of it. I'm going to hear weird spit-pronounced words all day long. So we're going.
All right, guys, back to the story. You know, last week, if you were watching, the conquest officially had ended. All the major battles were fought. And now it's tasked to get rid of the stragglers in the land of Canaan, those to the north and south and those on the coast like the Philistines. And so Joshua is going to release the tribes to go receive their inheritance. This is 1399 BC, 5 years after they first crossed the Jordan River and got into Canaan. The tribe of Judah is going to Hebron, and God has a very important message to Joshua, which really sets this all up. He says in Joshua chapter 13, verse 1, when Joshua had grown old, the Lord said to him, "You are now very old, and there are still very large areas of land to be taken over."
All right, guys, here we are. This is my old stomping grounds. Back when I was 85 years old, I came here and I'm like, this is my mountain. I want to defeat the giants that were here. And everybody else was terrified, but not me. I'm like, hey, we can take these giants on.
Pretty brave for an old guy.
This is Tel Hebron, Tel Rumeida. This is the ancient Hebron right here.
It's amazing. You know, I love your dad. How do you pronounce it in English?
Yefunah?
Yeah, in Hebrew, Yefunah is like the one who turns and looks. He's decided to teach his kid, Caleb, well, the other Caleb, to teach him, hey, you're going to turn towards a certain path and walk this path. I think he instilled that in his son, his very name.
Yes.
And then Caleb, which is like a heart. Caleb means like a heart. And his heart was, in the same way, turned after God's purposes, even at age 85. He's like, I'm as strong as I was. How does he say when I was young?
He says, I'm as strong as I was when I was 40 years old.
Yeah.
Joshua 14, 6 through 13.
Now the people of Judah approached Joshua at Gilgal, and Caleb the son of Yefunah the Kenizzite said to him, "You know what the Lord said to Moses, the man of God, at Kadesh Barnea, about you and me. I was 40 years old when Moses, the servant of the Lord, sent me from Kadesh Barnea to explore the land. And I brought him back a report according to my convictions. So on that day Moses swore to me, the land on which your feet have walked will be your inheritance and that of your children forever, because you have followed the Lord my God wholeheartedly. Now then, just as the Lord promised, he has kept me alive for 45 years since the time he said this to Moses. I am still as strong today as the day Moses sent me out. Now give me this mountain that the Lord promised me that day. You yourself heard then that the Anakites were there, and their cities were large and fortified. But the Lord helping me, I will drive him out just as he said." Then Joshua blessed Caleb, son of Yefunah, and gave him Hebron as his inheritance. Look over here, guys. Here we have mikvot. We have these ritual cleansing baths right here. Every Jew knows
what the ritual cleansing of baptism is. You know, you would cleanse yourself before you would go before the Lord. People thought, or at least, you know, when other non-Jewish people would dig up these sources, that these were not ritual baths. They did not want to attest that this was originally Jewish land, but this is just evidence that Jews lived here, dating back all the way to, you know, to the time of Abraham. You know, Abraham first came here, and then the Jews came back during the conquest of Canaan. Can you see it right here?
You know that baptism, people forget where it even came from.
Yes.
Is the origin.
That's the original
at Mount
baptism.
Sinai, it's like shaking and the lightning and the sound of a shofar, and God's like, I got some rules here. One of those is before you come to the synagogue, before you come to the tabernacle, before you come before me and get your dirty hands on the scroll, you got to wash, you got to cleanse, then you can handle the word of God.
I don't know, I think you see this story, and I think this seems to be a generational issue, is that you see the old guard who's like, what are you talking about? I said back then we could take them. We can still take them. And I don't know what the deal is with you pansies now, not knowing that we can't. You know, we have the generation now who's like, doesn't want to leave the keyboard, doesn't want to get from behind, you know, their profiles. They've created all of their little emojis and memojis to protect themselves, but they don't want to actually go out into the real world, have real confrontations, real this, real that. Here's Caleb at 85 going, I'd kick my 40-year-old self's butt. I'm ready. Let's do this. Let's make it happen. And you have that generation who's seen the fight, heard the promises of God, who's been through all of it, and the new generation doesn't want to get their hands dirty.
It's not that the giants weren't scary looking. I mean, some of them are described in scripture as having 6 fingers on each hand, 6 toes, double layers of teeth. They had domed heads. You know, they were imposing, and God wasn't denying that they looked imposing. He just said, I'm stronger than them.
Yes.
And all Joshua and Caleb had to do originally, which they did, was like, oh, we can take him because God said we could.
That's it.
All they had to do was trust in what God told them to do and be obedient to that. And Caleb was finally fulfilling what he started 45 years ago. He was fulfilling that task, and he did it right here. And it was quite a trip to get here, man, but it's worth it.
Joshua 15, 13 through 14. Now to Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, he gave a share among the children of Judah, according to the commandment of the Lord to Joshua, namely Kiriath Arba, which is in Hebron. Arba was the father of Anak. Caleb drove out the 3 sons of Anak from there, Sheshai, Ahiman, and Telmai, the children of Anak.
We are outside the walls of ancient Hebron. You see these bottom stones right behind us, these cyclopean walls from the Middle Bronze Age. You have, you know, Iron Age over here. There's 2 towers at this end, and even a 3rd tower. Our archaeologist friends just told us that we're down here, but the point is, he's saying these walls are like 7 meters tall. This is just like the base of a tell. They kept going up and up and up. What were they trying to keep out? I don't know.
Hold on, if you've got
a 5 foot tall dude
that's taller than a guy this size, I'm thinking giants. I just want to throw that out there as an above average size guy.
Well, Kiriath Arba.
And there is more than just one of these giant cities. Kiriath Sepher was rumored to be a giant city. And when Caleb finished defeating this city with the tribe of Judah, they came to Kiriath Sepher. He's like, we could take this, guys. It's a cakewalk, but I have a problem. I have an unmarried daughter that's supposed to be married. We've just been fighting for 5 years straight, and now I got to take care of that. So he decides to gift wrap the prize of his daughters to whoever the man is brave enough, has the faith in God to take on that city, Kiriath Sepher.
Joshua 15, 15 through 16. Then he, Caleb, went up from there, Hebron, to the inhabitants of Debir. Formerly the name of Debir was Kiriath Sepher. And Caleb said, he who attacks Kiriath Sepher and takes it, to him I will give Achsah, my daughter, as wife.
Now I have 2 daughters over here. If camera
guys that way today?
Yes. Do you see those 2 daughters?
Ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen.
I think that's the best way to choose a husband for my daughters right here.
So who's the giants that we need slayed? Do we have anybody in particular we're looking for? Do you have anybody left on the deck?
Well, there's enemies
On the
throughout
card deck?
history, the Philistines and the Hivites and the Perizzites and the
There's still
Mosquitobites and
the
Democrats.
Iranian regime that we can have them take on, people in Gaza. So if you have any suitors, girls, then they have to come to me. I have a list of places they need to defeat first.
Very easy test. Anybody 85 or younger should be able to handle it.
Yeah.
What I like about Caleb in the story, not just that he's slinging out his daughters for, you know, the best prize guy. No, when you look at the Bible and you talk about faith, or you try to apply faith today, especially when people are talking about it, it seems like there are these one-act movements in history, right? So you look at Hebrews 11, and people love to quote it because it's like, oh, so-and-so did this, and so-and-so. And it's like you pull that one moment out where they gustoed up. But here's Caleb. Faith is his whole lifestyle, right? Yeah, we know about it from the 2 spies, but here he is at 85. He's got a single daughter. He's got a giant problem. Hold on, I got an even better idea. I'm going to take my daughter, put her up, whoever wants, that's faith. That's his kid, right? He's willing to say, if there's a man out here who's man enough to stand up with character and to take out these giants, then I'm man enough to believe that one can handle my daughter. This was a lifestyle thing for him. And on top of it, Caleb wasn't the one that you read about in the Bible that's the poster child that we put on, the Kellogg's boxes of cereal, right? He's in the background. He wasn't seeking for the fame position. He wasn't even the one we tell the most stories about, right? He gets a couple verses here and there, but yet he lives it because that is who he was. And I think that's what we miss in life, is God's called us to live by faith, not by sight, in everything we do. It is a lifestyle.
Who will stand up like Caleb? Who will stand strong and say, I got the faith because I'm on the winning side, and these giants aren't going to take me out. I'm going to take them out.
Joshua 15:17. So Othniel, the son of Kenaz, the brother of Caleb, took it, and he gave him Achsah, his daughter, as wife.
Gentlemen, this is the Acropolis of Tel Hebron. This was the pinnacle center of a city where all the action took place. And as you can see, it is a field, and no one has done any excavation. And for years, I've been reading stories about how people tried to start, and then the Arabs get all mad and they stopped doing any excavations. And we just heard from our archaeologist friends that they are indeed going to start very soon to dig up the ancient relics of the past and to find out what's really here. It's going to be amazing.
That's phenomenal. I mean, there's springs here. There's things that attest to the biblical account.
Yes.
Right here in the disputed capital of Palestine. Oh, no. Biblical heartland of Israel that God promised.
And David had a palace here. It was his first capital. So surely they're going to find something awesome here. But back to that story, of Othniel and winning Caleb's daughter, Achsah. So he did it. He defeated the giants on his own. He defeated Kiriath Sepher. And after that, she had the boldness, Achsah, to go forth to her father and ask for a gift. She wanted a spring of water because she was eyeing the future. She wanted to take care of her family. And they're in a desert place, and she wanted to make sure that her family had a future. They had water to feed their flocks. And she knew that she was going to be having children soon. And with that boldness, what did Caleb do? He gave her more. He gave her 2 springs. And not far from here, they have found ancient Kiriath Sepher with 2 springs of water there.
This story is special to me because this is a time period in history before the world knows anything about God's grace and about God presenting himself as this loving father. And yet you see Caleb presenting this scenario on behalf of his daughter, and you see him honoring and blessing his daughter for her standing up in faith, for her coming up to dad and being like, Dad, can I have this? And he goes, because you were bold, I'm going to give you even more than you asked for. And I love that even at this point in history, the God who's the same yesterday, today, and forever is saying, if you'll just come to me as your dad and ask for that which is on your heart, I'm going to bless you with even more. And this land that I'm going to give you is going to go on for generations.
Everybody knows who Othniel becomes the first judge of Israel. He becomes the leader of all the 12 tribes. So obviously his faithfulness paid off. He had to take that step of faith, and Caleb was just grooming him for the position that he would take in the future.
Hebrews 10:38. Now the just shall live by faith, but if anyone draws back, my soul has no pleasure in him.
I'm here with Chaim Malespin. You are an archaeologist. You're about to endeavor to dig up more of Tel Hebron. Thanks for joining me today.
Well, thanks for having me. It's a great honor.
You've been taking us today to so many amazing sites. You're actually the head officer for all Judea. Tell me what you do.
Well, in one sentence, I would say we are protecting the antiquities.
Yes.
Of all the periods, of all the civilizations, of all the peoples who lived on this land. And that includes, a variety of measures. Some active actions, some passive actions, sometimes law prosecutions. Depends on the case.
So what do you plan on doing here at the citadel of Tel Hebron? What's coming up?
So as you already understood, as you could see yourself, most of the city had not been excavated yet.
Yeah.
Only the outskirts and next to the wall. Usually outside of the walls, or when it's inside the city, so it's against the wall. This is the first capital of Judah.
Yes.
This is the first capital. here the history of the Jewish people started,
Mhm.
of the Jewish monarchy, Jewish kingdom.
Through David's line, yeah. And that's important. But, you know, Chaim, I appreciate you taking us around. Thank you for having the time to speak with me today.
Thank you for taking this time and for standing this, actually, because I guess you heard more archaeology during this day.
Yes.
More than the last decade, I guess.
This is the time to unearth the history, the past, what God has in store for his people. It foretells the future, so.
Yes, and these are really some nice and splendid remains which deserve some publicity. So thank you.
Thank you.
Genesis 23, 2-4. And Sarah died at Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron, in the land of Canaan. And Abraham rose up from before his dead and said to the Hittites, I am a sojourner and foreigner among you. Give me property among you for a burying place.
All right, guys, here's a very important part of Hebron. We're surrounded by apartments on all sides, but you see right here, here's part of the early Bronze Age wall of the city, and here is a stairway that leads up, assumingly, to the gate of the city, and the same Middle Age, Bronze Age wall that goes up to it. So people are believing this is from the time of Abraham, guys. So Abraham would have to ascend up here. All the deals were made outside the city, you know, for land purchases. He was out there with the Hittites, and wheeling and dealing for the cave of Machpelah. We're here where Abraham was. This is amazing.
I don't know if you know what a hotbed this is. I mean, we're here on the actual foundation. This whole thing is one of the foundation walls. And the truth of the fact of this being a city where Abraham bought land here is like a no-no for some people. I've actually seen right here, all people almost ready to throw Molotov cocktails, riot going on. But the truth will set us free, won't it?
Yes. Hebron.
City of Earth. And it's the earth where our foundations are.
And the earth where our patriarchs are buried.
That's right.
And the earth where the archaeologist said I was too heavy to step on because I would damage the site. But I love it. I love it from over here. I wonder if the apartment complex has this in the amenities section when they're like, you have HBO, you have Abraham's footsteps, you have...
Well, actually, I want to show you there's two houses over here that attest to the continual habitation of Jewish presence in this city. So follow us over this way.
Genesis 23:16. Abraham weighed out for Ephron the silver that he had named in the hearing of the Hittites, 400 shekels of silver, according to the weights current among the merchants.
There's two homes behind here, ancient Jewish homes. There's layers here from, going down to 2300 BC, homes from the time of King Hezekiah, and they're Jewish homes. And we can attest to that, can't we, Chaim?
We can, and there's actual findings here which prove that beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Yes.
But just before that, you can actually see the layers of how it was a building that was destroyed and burnt by enemies.
Yeah, ash layers right there.
Yeah, the ashes of the town and then rebuilt another time. And in these layers, from the time of King Hezekiah.
It was a lot of money they paid. He only wanted the cave, but he ended up having to pay for the cave and the field.
I think it all means something because
Yes,
there's
it
no
does.
dispute anymore about who Abraham is, both in Islam, both in all history. We know who he was and what he did. He could have won it in a fair fight, but it's not what happened. He decided to buy it. And I think that was God's providence for the generations to come, including me.
To prove we have a deed.
Genesis 49:29-32. Then he, Jacob, gave them these instructions. I'm about to be gathered to my people. Bury me with my fathers in the cave in the field of Ephron the Hittite. There Abraham and his wife Sarah were buried. There Isaac and his wife Rebekah were buried. And there I buried Leah. The field and the cave in it were bought from the Hittites.
Guys, what could be better for a grand finale than showing up at the site of where our patriarchs, our Jewish fathers are buried, on top of the cave where Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Leah, Sarah, Rebecca was buried. And some say even Adam and Eve. There's no evidence to prove that.
But not Rachel. Rachel would have been near Bethlehem.
Exactly.
What about Ishmael?
Huh?
He didn't make it.
He didn't make the cut. Oh.
That's interesting too, isn't it?
It is very interesting. Today there is a mosque inside and
That's
church,
what I was really asking.
synagogue.
Whose team's in charge now?
It's kind of split between the two. So
Gotcha.
it's a site of a lot of contention If you look up in your history books, different conflicts happened here in the past, and that's why we're in a very contentious area right here.
It's true. And even the fact that the stress you feel when you're here, like, is there going to be an outburst of some violence? I know we had our charity with the Aliyah Return Center. It was blocked just over that way by a mob. It was on TV. I popped up my phone. I wasn't in the car. And they're like, they're almost getting lynched. So it is a stressful time. And, in 1948, because a conquest stopped around 1511. They stopped taking land. They're like, we'll chill with what we have. But what's the opposite of chilling? Is if suddenly, boop, you're not in your armchair chilling. And 1948 happens, and the Jews are coming from Europe and coming back home to the Promised Land. But it kind of awakened and coming to live here in Hebron in 1948, 1967 as well, when the 6-Day War, and suddenly more Jewish people are living here. And that presence, that affirmation of God's word, of God's covenant promise that he'd bring us back to the land of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, kind of is a clash with another jihadist narrative.
When you think of this was purchased 4,000 years ago, it's a very long time. And that is, to me, the very first conquest of Canaan, not by the sword, but by the dollar, by the shekel, by the silver coin. This is where Abraham proved and verified, this is for my people. I have the deed. This is where they will be buried, and this is the land they will inhabit because God promised it.
Well, the most unique part to me about the journey, because every place that we've gone that has been land that was given, right, to Abraham, and Joshua did this, and Abraham did this, there wasn't one blanket move. You had to listen to God for each one, right? So like you said, Abraham didn't come in with a sword on this one and take the land. He bought it. He overpaid for it, right? Yes. That's what God told him to do. But over in another spot, he took it by, kicking butt and taking names. And Joshua did it. There isn't a moment in life where just because God's given it to you, there is a fill-in-the-blank answer for how you have to listen to God on how you were supposed to take the land, acquire the land, how you keep the land. Everything, just because you have an inheritance doesn't mean you don't have to take it, because the enemy is constantly trying to come in. And I think that all these stories kind of prove that as you walk in here, you just feel that constant tension we talk about everywhere is constantly the enemy trying to test that. Oh yeah, you're going to keep that? Is that yours? You sure? Because I have the keys now. Woohoo, I got the keys here. Give me your keys right now. Well, if y'all want to go ahead and distract everybody else, I'm going to go climb in the tomb and see what I can find on that Stetson.
I wouldn't do that if I was you.
I got this. Let's catch my breath here for a second. Is that dinner? Is that? Okay, yeah, we'll do. I'll come back later.
The Bearded Bible Brothers is an outreach of Zola Levitt Ministries. Visit levitt.com to subscribe to our monthly newsletter, The Levitt Letter, or call 1-800-WONDERS. Check out our resources we have available on our online store, or learn more about our tours to Israel, Greece, and Petra. You can also visit beardedbiblebros.com to subscribe to weekly digital updates through email and watch our online videos and content. Your donations and love gifts help us continue our mission to bring the gospel to the Jew first. We thank you for your faithful support.
Our resource for this program, the book, The Mountains of Israel, the Bible and the West Bank by Norma Archbold. A profound ignorance exists today concerning the land of Israel, thanks to the false picture presented by news media. The so-called Palestinians claim their land was stolen by invading Jews. Learn the true origins of Judea and Samaria, the incorrectly named West Bank, and why this territory belongs to the Jewish people. Call 1-800-WONDERS or visit levitt.com for the Mountains of Israel.
What? Is this Athens, Texas? No. This is Athens, Greece.
That's right, guys. The episode's not over yet. Now, throughout this series, we've been focusing on Satan's plots to take over the Promised Land through his proxy vassals, these world-devouring kingdoms. At first, it was Assyria, it was Babylon, it was Persia. Now we're talking about Greece, the Greek Empire. So we decided to come here to Athens and to the Parthenon behind us.
Now, the Parthenon was a temple to the so-called virgin goddess Athena. Now, if you think about Las Vegas as being the Sin City of America right now, Athens was the Sin City back then for idol worship. Everybody came here to worship the demon gods. It was the hub of it. But Greeks dominating swell across the world, that was going to begin with a young man by the name of Alexander the Great.
Daniel 8:8. Therefore the male goat grew very great, but when he became strong, the large horn was broken. And in place of it, 4 notable ones came up toward the 4 winds of heaven.
You know, there had been many antichrists throughout history at that point. You had Tiglath-Pileser, you had Sennacherib, you had Nebuchadnezzar, Belshazzar. But this Antichrist would come now out of the Seleucid portion of this Greek empire, and his name may sound familiar to you. It's Antiochus Epiphanes IV. But let's go back to that very important vision of the goat with one horn.
I'm getting a little weary of anybody that starts off with Antiochus.
Not safe.
It's never good. I can't even pronounce it.
Daniel 8, 9 through 12. And out of one of them, the 4 horns, or generals, who came after Alexander, came a little horn, which grew exceedingly great toward the south, toward the east, and toward the glorious land. And it came up to the hosts of heaven, and it cast down some of the hosts and some of the stars to the ground, and trampled them. He even exalted himself as high as the prince of the hosts, and by him the daily sacrifices were taken away, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down. Because of transgression, an army was given over to the horn, to oppose the daily sacrifices, and he cast truth to the ground. He did all this and prospered.
Unlike our man Alexander the Great, who allowed the Jews to worship Yahweh, he gave them that autonomy if they wanted to do it. Not the case with old Antiochus. In fact, this dude, the abomination of desolation that he would create by going into the second temple and sacrificing a pig on the brazen altar, it's just horrible.
That, prophecy, I believe, is a dual prophecy. Some people think it was a one and done experience. Not so, because we see that Yeshua himself recalls the Daniel prophecy in Matthew 24:15. This was 300 years after Antiochus Epiphanes committed that first abomination. And Yeshua says, when you see that prophetic moment spoken by Daniel, as in, it hasn't happened yet. But this is dual prophecy. That means it's going to happen in the future with this future Antichrist, this future beast. Let's listen to what Yeshua has to say in Matthew 24:15.
Matthew 24:15. Therefore, when you see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet standing in the holy place, whoever reads, let him understand.
This is where it has all been leading, that rabbit trail of Satan conquering all these nations just to get the promised land, just to get his seat to commit that abomination of desolation in the final third temple. Not Yeshua's temple, the tribulation temple.
You have to be careful with arithmetic, because if you start adding the temples up wrong, then you might get on the bandwagon for the wrong temple, and that's a bad thing, especially with all the abominations running around.
Right.
Everyone, these shows that we get to bring you are so incredible, and we're so grateful that we continue to get to do this. Zola Levitt Ministries, who's been providing this information on air since 1979, bringing you the truth of God's Word from the locations where they happened. It's because of you all at home. Thank you so much for everything you've done. Continue to support this ministry. Continue to ask the Father what he would have you do to keep this show going.
Yes.
But do not forget, as we always say,
Sha'alu Shalom Yerushalayim.
pray for the peace of Jerusalem.
Did you know the Bearded Bible Brothers is an outreach of Zola Levitt Ministries? That means we are entirely donor-funded. Consider giving at levitt.com. You can also join the Bearded Bible Bonanza to access additional content at patreon.com/beardedbiblebonanza. Please support our mission to spread the gospel of Yeshua by subscribing to our social media and sharing our online messages. And as always, pray for the peace of Jerusalem.